Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart. And I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today I have Rob Florio. How's it going?
Going all right, man. Really inspired to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being on. So, before we get into today's conversation, I need a fun fact. A fun fact about you, and I'll tell you a fun fact about me.
Fun fact about me,
Yep.
I paint with my mouth and I am a comedian and I've got awesome insights about the universe that's I can't wait to share.
I love it. I love it. Let's see. I always got because I ask every guest this now, so I'll have to think of a new fun fact. Um, I don't like watermelon.
What?
Yeah, I don't like watermelon.
Oh, those kind of fun facts. Okay.
Yeah. No, the fun fact that you paint because people, some people might listen, some people might listen to it and don't see who you are and see, that you're in a chair. So, um, that is a fun fact. And are you good at it?
What, painting or
Yeah.
being in a chair?
No, no painting.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I've been doing it for a long time, 26 years since I had my injury when I
Okay.
was 14. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a great way to start into today's conversation. So give us a backstory of you because there's people that are going to listen. They can't see you. So give us a backstory of you and what you got going on.
Awesome. So, hey, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. And yeah, what I got going on is trying to inspire people and live every day with a spinal cord injury, which flips your life upside down in like every way. So I took my art world and I started getting into gaming and meditation, and I want to help others, like inspire them, like get into their mind and discover who they really are, because I can blow your mind with some stuff I know. It's really, really cool.
So tell us about your injury and how it happened.
Oh, okay. Well, when I was 14, I was playing sports like baseball and football, and then diving into a swimming pool head first, and then I was like, something's wrong. I couldn't feel or move anything. It was like just nuts.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was it. And then ever since then, it's just been relearning how to like cope with everything, and trying to find the sense of humor carry me, my faith, my family, rebuilding. Really, man, that's really a challenge. But my eyes are wide, my mind is wide open now. So it's like I don't want the magic to stop, even though I can't use my limbs. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. So it's just a normal thing that happened and then boom, it just changed your life.
yep, yep, exactly. Yeah, that's what happened.
Wow, sorry to hear that because I was
I
born
appreciate it.
I was born with mine, so my disability. But I do remember my last surgery. I was in 11th grade. Yeah, I think I was 10th or 11th grade. I think it was 11th grade. And I was right handed, and I had to get a metal plate in my arm in the middle of the school year. So I had to use my left hand writing and all this different stuff. So it was different. It's not to what you have to do, but it was like definitely difficult. And I think sometimes people don't realize how small just being able to use your limbs or use certain parts of your body is because they take it for granted because some people aren't able to use that. But I love that you didn't stop because I know people. I used to go to Shriners Hospital when I was a kid, and I would see people that were like in a chair or something, or even similar to me, and they were like worse off because of like their mindset or maybe even the people around you. Like you said, you have your friends, your family, and comedy. Like I'm funny. Like that's really what gets me. Like people be looking at me like I'm crazy because I make myself laugh. Everything I think of, I can't tell everybody because just depending on the moment. But that I would say those are the things that's kept me going is family and just being able to laugh because life happens to us. And it's like you don't necessarily laugh at that moment, but you laugh like I made it past that. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about like meditation, because I dibble and dabble in it, but give us your insight on it.
Okay. That was interesting how you phrased like being around other people with injuries and disabilities, because it makes you look at yourself and appreciate it, like see yourself from another perspective. And that's kind of how meditation is too. Meditation is like one of the definitions of it is to know yourself or to serve. And so in meditation, like our brains are just wired with like, I think it's something like one tiny scoop of brain matter, gray matter, the size of like a piece of
Mhm.
rice, has something like 100,000 connections and over 1 billion different combinations of connections. That's insane.
Yeah.
So what's happening with meditation is people are healing themselves and learning how to create the life they want. And it's all about frequency. Like, for example, I've studied this for a while now, and like the whole universe is nothing but electromagnetic signals. And your mind and your heart create an electromagnetic signal. Say bye. And sorry. And so our brain creates like electrical signals, and your heart creates a magnetic signal. So you send out the thought, and then your emotions or your heart brings it back to you like a magnet. So that's how we get what we want. It's not like I want $1 million. It's not how the universe works. Like you have to feel the frequency of your future and stay on it. And because like is attracted to like, and because of quantum entanglement,
Mhm.
particles that are born together stay together. So you could have one particle that was born with two that are together. Like when you meet somebody you love, that's a
Mhm.
huge bond that's made. And that's quantum entanglement. So you could annihilate one of the particles that could be on the other end of the universe, and the other particle instantly annihilates itself. It's called like the double slit experiment. You should look it up,
Mhm.
where everything is waves of probability. Like your thoughts can literally are changing the fabric of time and space. It doesn't seem like that because it just seems like you. When you're bad, when you're having a bad mood, you don't feel good, you know, you don't realize it's shame or guilt or pain because it just feels like you. But until you become aware of like well, how you're thinking, how you're acting, the way you're speaking, become so aware of it that you don't go unconscious to it anymore. Because like 95% of our waking day, we're unconscious. We're running a program. I mean, how nuts is that? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, and the media, all the crap you have to go through, pay your bills. Everyone's just in a program and not really, they've kind of lost their will. So the longer you can stay awake and aware, the more you can actually change your life and you can see the effects of your life. You can heal yourself. You can have mystical experiences. You can find love. You can be successful. And it's just and it always comes in a way you don't expect, which is really cool because you want to predict everything in your life, but you can't control it. And that's where I'm at now. So that's a little glimpse into what I'm getting into.
Yeah, I like that because it's like you said, you could think it, but you actually have to go and do it. Like we have dreams, or we might say, "Oh, like you said, I want to be a millionaire." Okay, you want to be a millionaire, but do you know how to get to being a millionaire? Do you know what it takes? Are you going to actually do those steps? Because it's like, okay, being a millionaire takes this, and that, and it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to be a millionaire because those thoughts change. But when those thoughts are there and you go with the action, and like you said, you got to be aware of how you are. It's about growing. Because I know back a few years ago, if somebody said a certain thing to me, I might go off. Now I might look at it like, I don't think I need to waste my energy on that person or on that. Or
Yeah,
it's like being a teacher, being in school, it's like, is it really worth me arguing with this kid to win an argument because I'm an adult, or should I just let it go? And it's like once you're aware of certain things that used to bother you or pull on you, and it doesn't anymore. It's like you can live life and you're good. It's like you like you said, those moments where we're having a bad day or something bad happen, if you're not the old you and you don't really get stuck to it, you don't get stuck in that moment. And even with happy moments, I think a lot of times we get stuck, or we're on a high because we're winning, and then we're on a low because we're losing. But if you're at the same level, you understand some days are going to be good, some days aren't going to be as great. And that meditation and clearing and having those thoughts and being able to listen to yourself is very important. I thought it was weird at first when I was doing it, because I started off with the and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this ain't really working. But then I go to sleep to meditation music. Like every night,
Yeah.
like I play that because it clears. Like my mind is racing 1,000, just doo-doo-doo-doo. I throw that on and I listen to it, and it's like clear. And then it's like next thing I know, I'm asleep. So I know that it helps. It's just about doing it during the day. Um,
Yeah, we can do it when your eyes are closed. Learning how to do it when your eyes are open, that's the next step.
yeah, and is that like daydreaming?
A little bit. Yeah, it's kind of like your brain is weird. Like it's cool because you can make different connections, like rewire it in a way to make um anything really, but kind of like daydreaming. It's kind of like imagining what your future would feel like
Hmm.
coming true, but right now in the present moment. Like if you can hold on to that, now you're not in a program anymore because the programs are your brain is like an artifact. It's constantly recording information. So all that information is past information. So everything that's in the known to you is all past information. So you have to go into the unknown, and that's uncomfortable for people. And the present moment is really awesome because like you can't those programs can't run anymore, and that's where you can kind of stay in like a future vision, but feeling it happen now. At first, it feels kind of weird because your body wants to fight it, like it wants to like get up and turn on the TV or go look up something on Facebook or eat some chocolate or whatever. But getting through that, it takes a little bit of discipline, and it takes like 6 to 8 weeks to develop a new habit. It's like it's daydreaming. Yeah, you kind of do want to daydream. You
Yeah,
fall in love with your future. That's because that's the energy of your future. You're trying to magnetize it to you. So that's what we should be doing. Like kids are really good at having this imagination. Like they don't have a filter at all. They literally when you were a kid, you could go outside and play a game, and you could pick up a stick, and you were in that world. You
yeah,
know that feeling like when you were a
yeah,
kid. You're in that world like full heartedly, just like, come on, follow me. We're gonna go do it.
yeah.
That's it. That's the frequency you stay on, and it's all about playing in your mind, and everything magnetizes to you as long as you can stay on that frequency.
Yeah, and I think adults forget that imagination that you had as a kid. Because a lot of times, like when I ask people, sometimes, did you think you were going to be that as a kid? Yeah, I used to have school and everything. So you already, like you just said, you are already in school, you're already teaching, you're already doing what you're doing, and then fast forward, that's what happened. And as an adult, sometimes we don't use our imagination to actually think of those crazy dreams or crazy thoughts that could really happen. Like it's like when you do have those though, you gotta watch who you tell. Like you could be like, for me, when I tell somebody I want a house that has everything where I don't have to go anywhere, they be like, wow, I never really yeah, I don't want to have to go nowhere. I don't want if I unless it's maybe an amusement park if my kids want to go there. But if it's the movies, we got it. If it's a bowling alley, we got it. Basketball court, whatever it is, I want that at my house. And people look at it like, wow, that's a crazy thought, but that could really happen. Now it's like I know that, and then I can move on and move forward to doing those things to get there. And I think that's the part that people miss. We have those thoughts, we see the future, we're in that moment, but then you're not in that moment because you didn't put any action behind it. You didn't go.
Yeah, or life happens, and you just, shit
Yeah,
happens. and you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
distracted.
yeah, shit happens. Life does that, but it's like what you said though. You're on a program. You're programmed to. It's kind of like people who I work a 9 to 5. You work a 9 to 5. Oh, you're supposed to work there so many years. Then you retire. Then you get this amount of money. When you get off work, you want to drink or you eat with your family. You know, you try to save up and go on vacation, and it's like your program. But then when you have your own thoughts and your own things that you want to do, it's like I run my time. I do this. You got to have your own schedule. If you have your own schedule and you have boundaries, you're not necessarily in a program of everybody else, and that's what makes people the 1%ers or the 5%ers or the 10%ers, and then you have the average people, because we're all doing the same thing. The people that are a little above don't do the same thing as everybody else because they, like you said, they had that idea, they thought about it. Let me go do it. Let me see what happens. And I think sometimes we forget as adults. Let me see what happens because, like you said earlier, as a kid, you was gonna do it. Let's get on the roof and jump off. You're not saying no, let's not do it. Look like you're not thinking, oh well, if I jump off here, I could break my leg. No, it's like let's go.
I highly don't recommend going to a roof and jumping off.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm not
understand what
saying
you're
that.
saying.
But or just stuff kids did, crazy stuff we did as kids. But as an adult, when we have that imagination or those ideas, we don't go after it. And then you're in that program, like you said, and you're like, dang, 20 years then went by. I still doing the same thing because you never took that imagination that you had and ran with it.
Yeah, it's pretty important. Yep.
So
Yep.
you're a gamer.
Yeah.
I never got into gaming because I never got a game since I had a Nintendo, a Sega, and that was it. I never had any games, so I've never been a game person. But you're a gamer, and what kind of games are you into besides what you are going to tell us in a second?
Actually, I kind of didn't play games for a long time, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because I went through a lot of neck pain and
Yeah,
surgeries in the past, like since 2016. That was like, this is like my rebirthing, kind of a new person. So back then, I used to play a lot of like Tony Hawk games and football and things like that, and some adventure games. Now it's more so like someone's got to set me up, and I got to use my mouth on a controller. Kind of annoying and cumbersome and hard to set up. It's hard on my neck sometimes, so it's not encouraging to do, you know. But since I started getting into meditation, I started thinking, well, if I went to school for game design back in 2007, now it's time, like, what have I been doing this whole time? Like, I need to start a game. Like, that's that would really make me happy, and that's where I'm at because hands-free facial recognition is where I want to go. And if there's all kinds of avenues you can get into that, but yeah, that's where I want to teach people how to meditate and you know face their meditation. That's kind of like face your meditation. It's kind of like becoming like my mantra.
yeah. I love like you might not know how much of an inspiration what you just said. You said you were playing the game with your mouth because that's how you had to use it. But then you were like, I went to school back in the day. I could just create something for myself that other people can use instead
Yeah,
of complaining or instead of, I don't want to play the game no more. It's too difficult. No, you said I'm going to create something for myself that's going to help other people in the world. And I love that because sometimes our adversity, our circumstance, it takes us out the game. We might
yeah,
have that thought, we might have that idea that we want to do, but because we have some sort of adversity, we don't do it. It's like me. I play basketball. I could have looked at, oh, my arms are short. I'm not going to play. Like people don't know how hard it is for me to play basketball because I have nerve problems. My fingers aren't as strong as everybody else. My wrists don't rotate when I shoot the ball, but I can shoot just as well as anybody else because I
yeah,
took it upon myself to say, this is what I want to do. I wanted to play basketball because I didn't want to be a cheerleader to nobody else, like root my friends on. I didn't want to root you on. I want the people to root me on. And that's the same
Yeah,
thing with you. You're like, okay, this hurts. This is a little difficult, but how can I make this easy for myself? And you use the tools that you already had. People don't realize you have the tools that you already need. You just don't use them. So
right.
go
Yeah.
more into what the game is and how you want it to go for you. Like, what's your mission and vision for your gaming, and tell us more about it.
Cool. All right. Well, the mission for the game is to teach people how to meditate, heal, and unlock these really amazing abilities that they have in their mind. Um, Things like remote viewing, healing themselves. Um, Remote viewing is like seeing something that's like hidden, but you can't see it, but you can in your mind if you can imagine that. And yeah, and there's one other thing that I'd love to get into is that since I started meditating, I started figuring out like I was really into like the universe and like other people living on other planets. So I actually picked up books and started reading about people who are making contact. And I found out there's this race of people and they're all these people can do it. All of us can do this, but they're called master healers. So I was like, maybe I could reach out to them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I'm like I started learning how to do that. And there's some videos online of me, but you can go to my Kickstarter page, robertflorio.com and see like the video that I put together of this amazing orange craft that looks like a flying, flaming fireball disc came over my house when I asked it to. My girlfriend at the time, not currently, but at the time was over. And like I was saying earlier about electromagnetic signals, like their technology is consciousness assisted technology, which means if I go outside and I have a thought, a really like motivated, almost innocent, kind of like pure gut, like high vibration, clear thought, and a high marry that with a elevated emotion. I can say, "Are you there? Can you appear?" And bing, they just show up right in front of me on top of the house. So what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Like something we're not being told. And at the same time, I love doing it, but it's frustrating because I just want them to like knock on my door and be like, "Hey, Rob, let's go for a ride. Let me come heal you." But they don't. It's the same thing with trying to manifest your life. It's not. This is the hard part about meditation is because we want things to happen so fast for us. But I'm learning that it's not really what you want that makes things happen for you. It's the state of being that you're in that magnetizes. So if you're in the state of being is I'm worthy, I feel freedom, I feel love. My state of being is I'm in love with the universe, the world. I feel oneness, I feel wholeness. That's a universal thing that these advanced beings have already mastered. So they're living in this higher state of God consciousness. Everyone on the planet is born into this universal consciousness where they don't see race, they don't see color, they don't see border, they don't even see politics or favorite sports team. None of that. Like we're so divided on our planet and stressed out. We think it's okay to be, pit each other against each other in everything. We go to battle, we go to war, we're going to contest. When we go to sports, it's like I played sports, so I get it. It's awesome. At the same time, I'm thinking like, do we not realize that we're creating a really bad frequency? To always be competing, to always be battling, to always be trying to force things, and instead of just like realizing that the ability to be aware and awake, that's a singularity. That's the same in all beings. Every being has some level of awareness. Even the flowers can sense where the sun direction is, and they will move themselves to get into the sun more. So that's where I'm at with this game, and that's a little further down the road, I think. But unless I had like full funding, I would make it a healing video game with your mind, facial recognition, go through the blessings of the energy centers, things like that. Um, Trying to do this what's in the box game that I'm developing. sharing, what you see. Hey, I see something and it looks like a pair of keys. The box opens up and then it's recorded and you can share it on social media, and or make contact. These are all really cool things that's like we're unlocking, like almost feels like we're evolving, like we're stepping off right now. And people like you and I who are like forced into it, it's either like change or die, kind of evolution for you and I, because it gets really depressing and really hard, really, really fast when you can't do anything for yourself. And, you know, you push yourself just a little bit each day, and the next day comes and you think, well, if I had another chance to do it tomorrow, could I do it better? How did I do today? Like these things, I ask for signs all the time, but I always ask for them to come in a way I don't expect that will completely surprise me, leave no doubt that it came from my mind, and inspire me to do it again. Because that's the name of this game here. Like we're almost playing a video game if you don't realize it or not. Because we have eternal souls, and we're like we are beings. We are almost like gods in the flesh. Honestly, since I've been out of my body 4 times, I have personally experienced my infinite self. Once that happens to you, you have zero fear of death. There's no death. So it's weird. Oh, just I want to scream about it and just get this out there to people. I'm excited, man.
Yeah. I like what you said about the planet, like where we're at, and how everything is divided and it's off of race or politics, or even with sports. Like me being older, like I enjoy sports just because I've always have, but I look at it different. It's like we sit there, and if your team has a bad game, you dog the player that dropped the ball. If your quarterback threw 3 interceptions,
Right.
we're talking about them, and we don't
We're,
know
we're
what.
cursing at them. We're
Yeah, we
wishing
don't
they
know
were
what's
dead.
going. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and we got to think about it. That's their job. So when we go to our job, we go through all our bullshit, and we still have to go to job, and we sometimes don't perform well. Nobody's cussing us out. Nobody's saying, "Oh, you lost me some money," or da 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 da. But when it comes to these professionals or whatever, it's like they're human. Or we look at people because they have a title, and it's like, oh, because they have a title, they can't do any wrong, or if they do, it's the end of the world. Oh my God, he's a preacher. They got a divorce. Oh my God, he's the whatever, the CEO, and he did this, and it's like, dude, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and we can't
Yeah.
look at people because they did something wrong and like dog them. Or it's like me being a educator and being in school, and I think as teachers we forget to give kids grace. We forget that we used to be kids, and we used to do the dumb stuff, and we used to do some of the similar stuff, and it's like, man, I remember being that kid and getting yelled at, and now I remember why I acted this way. So it's like I don't always yell at a kid. I was like, hey man, come here. Just don't do that no more. Like let's and now if another teacher saw you, then you might have got in trouble. So let's not do that, because I was that kid that got in trouble. So we look at different things, and it's like we pick and choose when we like someone or don't like someone, or especially with race, it's like that'll never end. But like you said, like every day, someone like me and you that has some type of physical or even a mental disadvantage, it's hard as hell, and people don't realize it. And we get up every day and we're fighting ourselves to say, like you said, how did I do yesterday? I did.
Yeah.
I did 7 out of 10. Let's try 8 today.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how hard it is for people like that, and then they take for granted the little things that they have. People take for granted to give a thumbs up. I'm 37. I've never been able to give a thumbs up. You know what it would be like to be like thumbs up? People take that
Yeah.
for granted and they don't even realize it. And then you'll bash somebody because they look a certain way or because they're a certain way. And it's like, that's not the way that we should be living, but that's the way that we've been programmed for so long. And now I think a lot of people are, I don't want to say woke, but are more educated or more knowledgeable about the world and the things that go on and how you should be as a person, instead of being that evil person because your grandma was evil, or being racist because your grandpa was racist, or not liking somebody because a family member didn't like somebody. That's not how we should live. And like you said, I think with the meditation and thinking, it's like you really can think the positive and not think inside the box. I think for me, meditation is thinking outside the box. A lot of times we're programmed to think inside the box, and that's why people do what they do and act how they act, and maybe even listen to what you're saying and be like, what in the world is he talking about? I don't know. Now I'm going to listen. I'm going to see. It's not like you're just rambling on about some stuff. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. So it's
Right.
like, now I need to go educate myself a little bit more on what you're talking about. This conversation is going to open people's eyes and ears and like, Eric ain't never had nobody on here talking like this. Let me see what this guy's talking about. Because,
Right. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
it's opening your mind and not always being so small-minded or small town minded. It's like somebody from a city that everybody's family with everybody. You think that small mind, and then you go to a big city and you don't know what to do because you didn't open your mind. You don't want to get some new exposure. You don't want to, let me see what this is. Let me see if this can help me.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have. We take our energy back when we take our, when we take our focus off of things like that, and that's that's energy to create your life with. So when people give you the finger, don't,
Yeah.
and that takes your life force away. Like you're not adding to the field around your body. You're actually subtracting from it. And
Yeah.
I love like learning about how the brain works and how people socialize. And I'm one guy, so things for you and I are like really a lot harder to do. I have all these ideas and things I want to do, but they take a long time sometimes, and the motivation to get up and do them and get on the computer, and because I have an eyeball device that like I use my eyes and it follows my eyes to use the computer screen, which is great, but it's slow. So it's like, you know, oh, it's
Yeah.
so
So no, I don't mean to cut you off, but
yeah,
I don't think people realize what you're saying of how you have to live. You're like, I'm on the computer. Even though I don't type like everybody else, but you have, like you say, you have to use your eyeballs, and like people don't realize how we take advantage of the little things. And like,
yeah,
yeah, that sorry, that just was like, wow,
yeah.
like you're definitely an inspiration to me.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, you inspired me, and I wanted to be on your show. I think you and I are the you and I are like the evolved. We're evolved.
yeah,
Let's just say, we're blessed in a way because we've been opened up our minds and our hearts, and that's hard, man. Yeah, that we can get
it
into that if
is.
you like.
It's hard because, like you said, you have to open your mind because you might not physically be able to do something. So you have to think of another way that you can accomplish that. I don't. There's people that are in a chair like you. They're not thinking like that. They're not. They don't have that device. They don't have the people around them to support, or they don't have that mindset to think, oh, I could do this another way. Like when I see someone
Yeah,
that has a disability, and like you'll see somebody there drawing with their foot or with their mouth or something else, it's like that's so dope because you didn't let that stop you. Even with me, when I look at someone like you or someone that's physically less than me, I'm like, man, that is an inspiration that they're doing that, because I know what it feels like to struggle. And like you said, it's days we know what to do, but our body like, no, not today. No, we're not doing nothing today. We're gonna, like, your body takes a toll, but that's where your mind comes in. It's like, no, you're not going. I'm tired, or I can't move, or my arm hurts, or whatever is aching. You still got to do it because you inspire somebody, I inspire somebody, and we realize that. And if we give up, or if we take 2 or 3 days off, that might slow our process down of being able to impact the other people in the world that we're supposed to impact.
Yeah, you never know who you're gonna meet or influence that is in your life, and that's really important. What you're saying.
Yeah. So tell us about the your campaign for your Kickstarter, so people when they hear this, they can go check it out.
All right. Yeah, man. So yeah, I started a Kickstarter, and it's on robertflorio.com, and you can check it out there. There's a video I made. Um, if it ends and I don't get the funding, there's just going to be another opportunity I know in the future. But I'm just, I'm reaching out to people and just seeing what kind of support we can get together and put this out there. I think it gives me butterflies to think about it. But that's where you can go to help me out. My artwork, my book. I wrote a book called Life It Must Be a Comedy. My
Hmm.
injury, all about before my injury and after it. And but there's a lot in there that's really funny and sad, but you learn a lot. There's something for everyone. People I've met in there, some awesome athletes that I met, had a really good experience with the Baltimore Orioles. That was really cool opportunity. And now I think like this is just great for us to create something that can be so impactful and see it come to life would just be a dream come true. I don't know who I'm gonna reach or contact from doing this, but I know someone's listening or watching, and we'll see what happens. That's the magic of what we're doing, because when you meditate, you don't know how it's gonna come to you. You just kind of have to let go and just be like, it's gonna happen. Stop worrying. You like wake up every day and act like your prayers are already answered, and watch out when you say "I am." When you say the words "I am," that is what you are. You're creating that in your life. Like in it, we all do it. We all react. It's just how long are we going to react for? That's how we're kind of like building ourselves up. So yeah, man, I
Yeah,
think that would be awesome.
that's definitely true what you just said. The I am. So it's a girl. She always like, I'm stupid. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, you're smart. I'm like, this is just hard right now. So you have to figure out how to be able to complete the task or the assignment. And I think that what you just said, like you never know who you're going to impact. Like me doing the podcast or me going and speak, you never know who's gonna. It's like people are like, "Oh, I see what you're doing." It's like, "Oh, I like what you're doing." It's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And it's cool for people to come up and know what you're doing because you're doing it for not yourself. You're doing it to help others, and you're doing it to be able to change the world. What you're doing, like I
Yeah,
know I used to work in life skills, which is called special education. So I've seen kids and just the thoughts in my head of what you're trying to do and what's gonna happen. Not saying what you're trying to do, what's gonna happen. You just don't know
right.
what's gonna happen. Can help those kids that can't really do nothing because
That,
those kids
yeah,
were born that way and then it sucks, but their family sucks. A lot of kids that were born with a disability and they really can't do too much or they can't talk, their families sometimes suck. And I seen it firsthand. And I shout out to my mom. My mom never treated me any other
yeah.
way.
My mom and dad too. They're awesome.
Yeah, never treated me any other way. Like it wasn't like, oh, you got a disability, you ain't gonna get a whooping. No, you getting a whooping just like every other kid because you didn't act it up. And she never told me I couldn't do something. So shout out to parents that have kids that have disabilities, and you're great parents. And to those that like it's like I don't know. They feel like it's a job or it's a task. It's like no, it's your child. You have to take care of them. You brought them in the world. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't be asked to born like this. You have to make sure you're there for them and not leave them out. And what you got going, like, definitely can spread with being on podcasts and talking about it and posting on YouTube so people can see what you got going on so it can help because there's thousands, millions of people that are in situations where they can't use their limbs and they can only use their face, and this would be perfect for them because it's something that they can do, and it'll probably brighten up their day because it's something that they can call their own. Now there's going to be
Yeah.
other people that use it, but those people that can only use that, that's going to be like, man, thank you, Rob. Glad you came
Yeah.
up with this. And that's dope that you did, because you having a disability and me having one, we know what it's like. It's like it people like us don't really do stuff that we're doing, because it's like, why are you doing that? Or people make you think you can't do these things. People look at you or treat you different because you look a certain way. And I look at people, I want to cuss them out in my head, but then I look at them like, you don't even know who I am. You don't even know who
Yeah.
you just ran into, and you treat me like that. Or you don't know what opportunity you just missed because you didn't want to speak to me, but you spoke to the person behind me.
You
So
know,
I,
it
I, I,
makes
love,
me,
I love this conversation. Go ahead.
yeah. It makes me think about when you were talking is what we don't know about our brains and our body is where we lack knowledge about how to create our future. Because believe it or not, like what I've learned is that your brain is actually addicted to those bad feelings. It gets a rush off of dopamine, off of the adrenaline that your sadness and your depression and your pain is giving you, because it's what's familiar to you. So even though you don't even like the life you have, you'll defend it to the point where because it just feels like you, and it always felt like you. You don't know, So it's like it's really really kind of bizarre to know that like it's really you're addicted to that bad feeling because it just feels familiar and everything. It's uncomfortable to go into the unknown and to create there because you have to leave everything to do it. And if you're always under stress and you're always fighting, running, or hiding, there's no time to create. And it's like we need to take that back, especially you and I, because the internet's great and technology is great, but things like COVID and who knows whatever the hell else is next, you know, takes away from us so easily. Like my nurses can't come because they have COVID, or the weather is bad, they can't come. My parents are getting older. I have to figure out, who's going to take care of me. It's expensive as shit to
Yeah.
to live as a quad. Like it's not easy. So, everyone has to do everything for you. So it's like that's why I kind of think like you and I are like perfect ambassadors to the universe because you and I have to. We are if an extraterrestrial like showed up to you and I would, even though how bizarre their culture and everything they would do and look would be to us, at least you and I can say, well, I'm I've faced that diversity and challenges around really. I've been around a lot of bizarre people who come into my house and take care of me, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't want this person around me. Get away, But if I send them off, then I have no one to take care of me. So it's like, it's just
Yeah.
I feel like that's the point here where I'm helping like evolution get somewhere in this incarnation, and it's funny. I'll tell like something funny. Like some of my observations are like, because I've been on the other side. I know that we are dimensional beings living dimensional lives. So, like for example, you and I are quite possibly are the same individual because there's no time in the fifth dimension. It's all the present moment. So you're there right now, but you don't realize you're there. We call it the afterlife, but it's where you came. It's source. It's where you came from. You had to be born into this body so you could forget everything and have a new experience. So that's like you and I are there right now talking, even though we're stuck in this linear timeline in the third dimension. So if you had infinite amount of time to do and experience everything the universe had, you could incarnate into 100 million bajillion people and do that cycle over and over and over again. So it's quite possible you and I are the same individual. Just consciousness is a singularity, remember? So the number of minds in the universe is one. There's only one mind. That'll blow your mind.
Yeah, to what you were saying earlier, about the negativity and how it feeds your brain. A lot of people are like that. A lot of toxic people. It's like social media. When you get on the internet, it's a lot
Oh my
of
God, yeah.
toxic. It's toxic, and that's what everybody goes to. Is the toxic. It's just like me being from around the way, you have people they in the hood and bad stuff happens. They're so used to it. It's like they don't want to go outside and go to the suburbs, or you're corny if you do this or you do that, because it's the unknown to you, but it's not the unknown to me, because I decided to step outside of that boundary and think outside of that negativity. It's a lot of people that it's like, the people that if you call them, they're gonna talk about people, or they're gonna have something bad to tell you. It's like, I don't really want to talk to you. I really don't
Yeah,
want that. I've had my own bad day. I don't need your bad energy to knock on my bad energy and knock me down. So it's like, when you realize, this person is negative, I don't need to hang out with them all the time.
yeah, we
And
start blaming, complaining a
yeah,
lot.
and those
You're,
people, and that what you said makes sense. Is like, oh, they're feeding, it's feeding. There's something in them that likes it, or it's the person that always like to argue. Why you always gotta argue, or you always want to fight? You 40, why are you still trying to fight? Why are you still cussing people out? You like, it's because they're programmed to be like that, and they didn't never want to step outside and think outside that box. So,
yeah.
um, trying to think of how I want to word the 3 tips. Just give people 3 tips on how they can utilize meditation.
Ooh, 3 tips how to utilize meditation. Well, I would say every morning and every night, before grabbing your phone, checking who's messaging me. When you wake up in the morning, don't do that at all. Do like a 15-minute meditation. Just become aware of the present moment, and then rehearse in your mind who you want to be today. How are your challenges going to be? Put yourself in like what you're going to do and rehearse that. Because when you do that, your brain starts to look like that future has already happened. Like you could be playing the piano with one hand and imagine that you're playing the piano, but not, and still rehearse it in your mind. And you can still do it just as good as the people who did it with their hands. And then when you go to bed at night, this is what I do. I meditate again. The window of the subconscious opens up in the morning and at night. So that's the perfect time to program yourself. Even in the middle of the day, like I will, take deep breaths in and out and just like raise my energy and just feel like something great's coming in. And at first it feels really weird, like it's not possible, but eventually your brain and your body start feeling like, you know, you believe in yourself, and like you start feeling like there are possibilities again. And that's the flow state you can get into. And if you can stay in that frequency of your future, then you're just gonna create magic all day. And it's just, ignore all that other stuff that's going on. I think that's the challenge. You get angry at someone, you want to, every part of your life, especially you and I, like with this disabilities or injuries, it wants to pull you away from, just thinking differently and thinking like in your heart. Let the energy go in your heart. And then once it gets to your heart, it goes right to your brain. And now you have energy to create with and think and do all this amazing stuff. And then, you know, I'm talking to ET, like my neighbor out there, he's out there one day and he was like talking about his neighbors, like, well, this guy over here likes to do this, and this guy over here is talking to fucking ET. I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh my God. I loved it. I was like,
Yeah, that's hilarious. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate what you do. I always like to give my guests flowers, because I I don't just get anybody on here. I always get people that's doing something that's can make a change on the world, and that's what you're doing. And I
man,
love that you didn't give up, man. Like, I look at being with my disability is hard, but then when I look at yours on the outside looking in, it's like, dang, that's fucked up. But then your energy and how you are, it's like, I love it, man. So I love everything that you're doing, and you definitely gonna make people think with this episode, because I was sitting there listening, but then it's all. I think it's all about how you channel it for yourself, because some of the stuff that you were saying, that's why I said some of the stuff to break it down to make it a more simpler form for people,
Exactly.
because sometimes you hear a lot of stuff you never heard and then you're like,
Yep.
oh, what? And it's like, no, go research and see what it's about, just to like not to get off subject, but the other day I was watching something about bears, and it was like something about bears struggling, and I learned about bears and them mating, and it was like, and I kept watching because it was interesting, and I was like, oh, I learned that really bears, women bears are single moms, because the man bear comes, they mate for a couple of days, and then he leaves and go finds another woman. So it's like, it was just crazy because I actually stuck with it and I learned something from it, instead of just like, oh, what the heck is this, let me cut this off, because it wasn't something familiar. You People get stuck with familiar, and you don't learn with familiar, you learn when you uncomfortable. So I appreciate
Yes.
what you do. So tell people how they can reach you, and then give us like um, some type of motivation to close us out.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, man. So yeah, robertflorio.com. And my TikTok is quads are gods. Uh, there's some of my comedy on there. Some of the things I've been recording and about the game and about the universe. And I think that's yeah, Facebook, and my link is on my website. Um, but yeah, if I were to close this out, I think I would say there are infinite possibilities in the quantum field. And when you get really angry or depressed and painful, your brain will always pick the worst case scenario every time of a universe of infinite possibilities. So I mean, you get stuck and you're like, I don't think this is possible. And then you're like, well, if I change my frequency, then I'm tuning in to infinite possibilities that I can create from. And that's, you're always gonna have another email that you're gonna have to answer. There's plenty of experiences we can have, but yeah, push yourself a little bit, and when you get to that place where you're like, I can't go any further, like just go a little bit more, and every time what's on the other side of that wall is really good. Like it's always something really good because you found something new, and your body gets a new signal, and it feels like there's more possibilities than you ever imagined. Do something like that. Like reach out to me. Let's make a game. Let's. Who knows who's gonna listen to this? But thank you, and be grateful for what you have, because those are the things that are going to propel the things you're going to get in the future. How you appreciate what you have now, I've learned, is shapes how you appreciate what you have in the future. So thank you, and God bless, and let's make an awesome new planet together. Thank you.
Keep
Thanks for having
being
me.
no problem. Keep being great.